Our students, Brian Proctor, the art teacher, back again with another lesson. And this video today is from a request from a subscriber who continued to write me and said that he was having trouble just doing the basic shapes. Now, every now and then I will do request videos if it's something that I know other people can use as well. You know, if you write me and say, Brian, can you show me how to draw a catfish? Well, I know a lot of people are not going to want to learn how to draw a catfish. But if it's something like, you know, the arms or the ear or something like that, that I know a lot of people can use, I'll go ahead and do a video for that. So this one is on, basically, we're starting out on the square and the rectangle, and everything is square and rectangle just about. So yeah, I know a lot of people can use this. So I did this video for that subscriber and anybody else who might be able to use it. So let's go to the drawing table because we're going way back to the beginning. And yeah, let's go. All right, so we are going to go all the way back to the very beginning, to the very, very beginning, because as I said in the other video, and I'll say it again, if you don't know how to draw your shapes, there's no need for you to even start to draw a comic book or to actually start to draw anything serious anyway. You can play around, but if you're not familiar with your shapes and they take, especially when you try to draw them in 3 dimensions, you wasting your time. So the first thing we're going to start out with is the square and the rectangle. Because stop for a second and look around your room. Wherever room you're in, see how many rectangles and squares you see. That is the predominant shape that we use or that we have in life. That and the cylinder. I mean, even this paper is rectangle. You know, the table you're sitting on, the chair that you may be sitting on, the monitor, your phone, everything is basically a rectangle. Your cabinets, your dressers, your bed, your tub, all of that stuff. Now, it can be a rectangle and it just rounded off a little bit to keep you from hitting the edges all the time, but still it's a rectangle or square. So now that you see and understand how important that shape is, what you're going to need is notebook paper or some pad, just something with lines on it so that you can stay in the lines. And that's going to help you to draw straight, because the person that I'm doing this for said that he had trouble drawing straight lines. You know, and I said ruler, you know, you can ruler where you can, which is true, but to start out, it's best to have lines, just some lines, guidelines to help you. So let's start out. Now I have to turn my paper when I draw, because if you know anything about me, I cannot draw straight up and down. I have to turn my paper. Even when I write, I turn my paper. So don't get caught up in the paper being turned a little bit. So we're going to start out with the square. Now, in school, when you were young, you had the graph type of paper, and they had you writing letters like A, and they had it on a line, B. You had to stay in the line, and then the little letter stayed under the line. So the letters that we're going to use are, there might be a few more. I went a little too far with that one. We're going to use a T, L, which is basically almost the same thing, A, V, which is the same thing. So for those people who sweat over being able to do shapes, letters are the same thing. They are just shapes. M, which is the same thing again as your A right there, and there's your another A right there. Unless you bring it down halfway, which is fine. This is like a A almost turned into a V. Turn that. I can do a W the same way. E, which is going to be one of the main letters we use, E, and then H. You do that all the time. So let's get started with drawing these boxes. And I think, as I said, people, when they say the word draw and they say the word write, they kind of like, oh, drawing is hard, but it's the same thing when you write. It's the same thing. Let me show you. Let's say I'm going to use double lines just because. Let's say here's my E right here. That's my E, a little crooked E. But you bring it down, you erase that, you have a rectangle. Let me use a pencil because that was just for that purpose. And notice I'm not trying to, what are you doing, Brian? You're supposed to be doing an E. Okay, let's start that all over again. Get your E. 1, 2, 3, 4, actually 4 lines. So you have that, and then you just come straight down like that. And then erase the center line, which now gives you that box, that square. More rectangle because a square is going to be perfect. So if that's problematic for you, just do an H. Do an H like that. And then just add the top and the bottom and erase that. Okay, so then you can do your H or your E if it's more comfortable for an E. You can take that and you can stretch it out all the way down like that. These lines don't have to match. One line could be way out here, one could be there. You just want to find the end of it and then draw straight down and erase the other parts. And erase that and you have a rectangle. Okay, simple enough. Now let's go down here and get into the real McCoy, as they say. Let's say this is going to be your ground line. This is your ground. Everything sits on the ground unless it floats in the air. So that's going to be your ground line. So whatever square or rectangle you have is going to sit on that ground. So again, let's go a couple lines this time, 2 or 3 lines. So I'm going to make my H. Let's just make an H. It's easier. H. Like that. Okay? Here's my H. Center that off. I'm going to erase that anyway. So I already have the bottom. And using this line, you have the top line. Okay? There you go. Oversized H. Now, let's just say that's my square. This is the square that I was going to draw. Now, if I do this, okay, this is the front of your square. Let me use this Altoid. Now, if you see this is like the shape minus, a little piece of square. Now, that's facing you the same way this is facing you. Now, if I turned it just, let me see if I can get the top, not without the top and the bottom, because you cannot see the top or you cannot see the bottom because it is sitting on the ground, okay? So, now if I turn that slightly, you would see some of the sides, and it's nice that it's got some blue in it, okay? Get it right. You will see some of the side. Now, if you're drawing something and you want to see some of the side, you have 2 choices. You can either take one line, put it in right here, like that, which is easiest. Let me draw a quick one, another one. Or you can just extend that just a little, just go further out and then draw that. Now, some people can't see that, but if you take this and you mark it, like darken it right there, that's your side of your box. Plain and simple. Just extend it or draw a line somewhere inside of it, like that. So now you see the side of your box. Now I can take that, let me do another one. Let me do a couple more. I can take that box. So we have these 3 boxes. So we've got that. So let's just bring it in a little bit more. So we have just a little bit showing. Now we just bring that line over a little bit more. There's the side of my box. Bring it to the center. Now you're seeing 2 sides of the box. So if I did, and I wish I had a better box, and I was thinking of looking around, but I couldn't really find something that's perfectly square in my home. So it's going to look like that. So basically this side, same side, which is colored, you have that. And then you have this. And then you can bring it all the way over again. And then you have, which was the side, now almost facing the front. Very simple. Just by adding that one line, you either bring it, do the line inside of it, or you extend it. One of the 2. But it depends on how big you draw the box in the first place. If you draw it small like that, or narrow, and say, oh, I need to make it a little bigger, then just extend the line. Just go out and extend the line. And then there's your side. All right, so let's say you need to see some top or the bottom of that square you're doing. Well, you're still using your lines. Make my square again on my E or my H. Whichever one is easy for you to do. Remove that. Now, let's say I want to see the top of it. Let me show you how to measure a box before we go, or any square before we go. If you take your square and you put an X through it, a perfect X, point to point, point to point, you'll find the center of the box. No matter how much of an angle that is turned, let's just say this. See, this is turning around now. So if I do this, it's like, make my X or my multiplication symbol, whichever one is easier for you. This is now the center of my box right there. So even this one has turned so far away that once again, point to point, point to point. That is my center right here. So if you're going to put like a door or something, if that was whatever, and you're going to put a door kind of in the center, it would look like that. There's a little door here. That's your center. Now, we have to go back to this. We have this, your point. So take your point straight up. Take it straight up, and let's say about right here, and then make that point right here. Take that line from that point straight up, and then make that point right here. Now let me do another one because I want to go the other way as well and kind of speed this up. I don't want an hour video on drawing squares. Remember, either you want to draw your H or you want to draw your E, whichever one's easy for you. Erase the center. Now, so there's your point. Now from this point, these points, this point here, this point there. Draw a line. If you have to have a ruler, draw a line. But don't worry about it for now because this is just practice. This is just practice. Draw a line from there to there, and then from there to there. And that kind of looks like a robot with a little dunce cap on. But if you just draw, you say, I want to cut it about right here. Let's say just cut it across right there. Then erase this. Erase anything past that cutoff point. Then you see the top of your box. And that's going back in space. Or some people say going back in time, but it's going back into your picture. So the same thing, if you want to see the bottom of your box, get rid of all these little happy lines here. Same thing, find your center of your box, always an X. That's a letter I didn't show us. We're doing the X. But basically, you'll probably go through half the alphabet just learning to draw. So going down this time, let's just say about right here. And it all depends on how long your box is. Right there, from this point to this point, from this point to that point. So let's make a shorter box. So let's just cut it off at the line and make it a little easier for you guys. Like that, and then get rid of this. Now you see the bottom of your box. Now that could also be used as you're looking down on a building. I don't want to get into perspective because if I jump into perspective, that'll mess your head up a little bit more because you're like, oh, perspective when you're having trouble drawing a box. But they go hand in hand because this is just 1 point perspective. That's all that is. It's 1 point perspective. Same here. If you have 1 point that you're drawing to or from, that's 1 point perspective. If you have 2 points that you're drawing your lines to or you're drawing your lines from, that's 2 point perspective. Okay? So really simple. Really, really simple. Now, what if you want it over to the edge? If you want to take it to the edge, same thing, same thing. Draw your box. And my camera is blurring because, yeah, it's been over 12 minutes. After 12 minutes, it'll blur, and I'll see it in the monitor, but I notice after editing, it won't blur. It's not blurred in the editing stage. So, E or H, you choose, but I'm just going to draw a box. And one thing to do that I want you to do is take a separate piece of paper. Once you start drawing these things, take a separate piece of paper here, which is another one. Draw a big one, big enough for you to draw big enough. All right, let's just say it would just do this. Like that. So here's your top of your box. Draw over this over and over at least 5 times, because drawing is just muscle memory. And what is muscle memory? Muscle memory is the muscle memorizing the move that it makes over and over again. That's like your signature. If your name is Tom, when you were young, your mother named you, your father named you, you had to write it all, learn how to write T-O-M, T-O-M, T-O-M. You wrote that all the time. Now, as you grow older, you realize you had to have a signature. So you couldn't just write T-O-M, my name is Mr. Tom. No, you had to find a nice signature for you to use. So you figured out some way that's a J, to write, Tom. You practice. Don't say you didn't. You took a piece of paper and you just wrote over and over again until you figured out a good signature. Now, when you figured out that perfect signature for you, you started writing it over and over and over and over, and your muscles in your arms and your hands memorize that. You could pretty much be dog tired or drunk and still sign your name, because your muscles memorize how to write Tom in your signature that you do over and over and over and over and over again, and it's still going to look the same. So that's the same way with drawing. You have to develop a muscle memory. So once you draw your whatever, just draw it. Just go over it like this. Take one line at a time. Don't try to like that. One whole complete line. One side, one side, one side, one side, one side, one side, one side. And you just draw it over and over, at least 5 times. You can use a pencil, then go for a pen, then go for a magic marker or a crayon or whatever. Or you can just go over it again with your pencil again and again and again and again. But that's the only way that you're going to memorize how to draw anything. And then once you get it and you do it enough, then it becomes instant. Like that, and I could say this could be like a truck. This is the back of the truck. That's another thing. Memorizing is seeing too. It's the back of your 18-wheeler right here. And this is the door right here. And you got your little swingy locks here. And you got your little thing there. And your tires here, somewhere here. And yeah, that could be the back of your 18-wheeler. Drawing is simple when you know what you're doing, when you know what shapes you're using. That's all it is, because everything is a shape. So as I was just doing, if this is like an 18-wheeler, and forgive me for my trucks, because I haven't done like a truck in a while. So you got a wheel here, you got a couple wheels here, a couple wheels here. And however, some of the trucks have the little front here. Some go up and then they have the little thing to block the wind, and your window, which is a square, and your door. What a raggedy truck, Brian. Yes, it is. And a little thing on the side to keep people from banging it up. And you got Tom's whatever, potato chips. So by using squares or rectangles, you have a truck. And of course, circles. And your circle is just your zero. Your zero is going to be more oval, and your O is going to be circle. Like book, B-O-O-K, or 100. Plain and simple, no stress, no strain. Takes the worry out of drawing that stuff. So let me focus my camera, because it's starting to bug me because it is blurring. All right, so where was I? We're going to go to the side now. Give me my pencil. So we have your square. So you just want to go, you want to put your point somewhere either above it or below it, going at an angle. So from here, once again, your point, so every point edge, you're going to go right to this. Now, when you draw any shape, especially a square, you're only going to be able to see 3 sides at a time. You cannot do a 4-sided shape. You're just going to see 3 sides. So we have this point above this square. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. And if you have to, as I say, use a ruler if it's have to, but you're not trying to be perfect right now. You're just trying to get it down to where you can do it. Now, cutting it off, if you have the lines here, it makes it a little easier. But if not, then do a T. Do a T. So like, here's my T here. And coming straight down is my T. That's my letter T. If you don't see that, I'll show it to you in red. I don't know if you're going to be able to see red on this thing. Red might look black. Here's my T. Like that. See, it looks black in the camera. But by doing that T, you can erase the rest of it. And then you have your box. So that's, you can do an L, but the L's upside down. It's hard for people to do an upside down over L like that. You have the L is this way, but upside down and flip it. So it's just easier to just do a T to start out with. But once you start practicing, as I said, just go, if this is the hard part for you now, just do like this, do like that a couple times, just over and down, over and down. That's more like a 7, except it's straight down. Just over and down, and then just draw it again. Draw your square. You got your square by now. You should be able to do your square. 1, 2, 3, 4. One line at a time. Over, 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 straight across, straight down. Just do it again and again and again. And this is why you have your line, because sometimes some people, they'll do square. The bottom will be a little crooked like that, but they don't see it until the very end. Now, when you start to produce your final piece, that's when you're going to have to use your ruler. You're going to have to use your ruler. And even if it looks good to you now, walk away from your picture before you ink anything or say, okay, it's finished, let me take it to the final step, because once you ink it or color it, you can't change that. Walk away from your picture for about 5 minutes. Turn it upside down so you don't see it, because you can see something so much till your eye thinks it's right. And when you come back, just walk away, go eat something, watch a commercial, look at my YouTube video. That's right, I said my YouTube video. And then come back, and then you look at it and you say, oh, that's crooked. That's crooked. I didn't see that before. Then take your ruler, and then you make it straight as you can, straight as possible. You know, and it's best to use line paper if you're in the beginning anyway, but you have to train your hand to be able to draw a line straight. You know, something else you can do, just keep drawing straight lines. If you want to use your line paper, draw in between each line, just draw a straight line. Just one, just keep going. But it's anything you do, you have to practice. You had to practice driving, you had to practice riding a bike, you had to practice typing. God knows you have to practice typing, because I can't type yet. I can, what's that, pecking, with the fingers. But you're just going to have to do it over and over. Same thing for straight up and down lines. You're just going to have to practice. Practice until you get it right. And if you can't get it right, then pull that ruler out. Once you draw your picture and you see that something's a little crooked, if you have an area for a ruler, just ruler it. Don't go and get one of them fancy smancy big old rulers that metal and make noise and vibrate and feel good in your hand. Just get you a little cheap little wooden ruler to start out with. So what was I doing? So here we go. This one, same thing. If you want to go to the other side, same thing. Put your point there. And if you have to, make it longer. Say if you want your box like this short, don't put your point there. Put your point a little further away from the distance that you want your box. And then do it 1, 2, 3. And then you go ahead and you put your T. Just if you have to put a straight T all the way across there and then down here, go ahead and do it. Nobody's judging you. Nobody's looking. But then you have your letter. You have your letter. You have your box. And then just erase the part that you don't want. Then go back. 1, 2, that's an L. You can do an L. Anybody can do an L. Make it a little easier. 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7. Here's my opposite 7. Just until your hand memorizes it, and then you can just do like, oh yeah, I'm going to draw this shape here, you know, that's going to be next to another one that's going to be going in the opposite direction, and it just becomes easier for you to do. So that's down. Same thing with up. We'll go up, up, up. I'm trying to think of some other ones because, as I said, I don't want to spend forever doing boxes. But just watch the video again and again and again and again until you get it. Going down, you already have the straight. You know how to do the straight one. That's just a V, the letter V underneath of your box. Go across. You see the bottom of your box. Erase that. Same thing with the top. The letter V. You know, if you want to be precise, do your X. Serious in the middle. Upside a triangle or upside. If you have to turn your paper upside down, I can't draw a triangle. Turn your paper upside down and draw that V. Then turn it back. Then again, cut it. Just straight line, erase that. There you go. So if you want to do it to this other side, I ran out of room here, so let's just flip this over. Then I do the other side, I'm working on the bottom. So we got this side, that side, we're gonna work on the bottom. And you can just draw a bunch of squares and then just do what you want to do with them. 1, 2, 3. And you can just have squares all across your paper. So at the bottom, we put that point. And always angle it. Try to put it like this. Like if you're doing the X, try to go this way. It's just a little simpler if you follow that line. So you want to go 1, 2, and you have that third one. And then here's your L. You're going to go straight down and do your letter L like that. Same thing to the other one. You don't have to follow that line to bring it out here. You can bring it over here somewhere. But the more you bring it over, the less of this side you're going to see. So it's going to look something like this. Well, let's go to the point, Brian. It's going to look something like this. And you may have just a little bit. I mean, some people do their drawings where they deliberate like that, where you just see just a little bit of the side, which is fine. But the further you put it away from, well, the further you put the line closer. If you have this line here, the closer you put this line to this point that comes down to this edge, the more of a 3-point or 3-sided shape you will see. So let's do this. Let's just do this. So we have this, and I'm going to show you and try to do one line and show you what I was saying. So you have that. So your point is right here. So you're going to go from this point to here. This point, I'll turn my paper, because when you start drawing lines, ruler lines, you have to turn your paper at this point there. And then because you have some of this left over, this point, you're going to have just a slight bit of that right there. Which is cool because you could be flying your airplane. The airplane could be flying across the building and just going across, and then you just see the side. You just see just a little side. So same thing. If you need to use your line, and then go straight up like that. Unfortunately, I inked that. I think I inked that, so it's not going to erase. I did. So you'll just see this piece right here. But just try to kind of keep it on that point, or a little over past that point, or a little closer to that point, but don't try to kind of like put it under the bottom too much. So if we do this and we got that side, we'll just do this. Here's your X. That's your center right here, but we want to do that point here. So now we have room for this side. 1, 2, and 3, like that. Now, again, cut it off here, opposite L. Straight down, straight down. If you have to use your ruler and say, okay, this is straight down, and I'll push it over a little bit, and that'll be straight down too. This is this way, and I'll push it down a little bit, and it'll be this way. And now they have rulers. I don't know where mine is. It's so busted up. It's a ruler, and they have wheels on the bottom of it. They have little wheels that you can actually roll your ruler up and down like that. If I can see it or point it out, I'll show it to you, mine. But the edge of mine got so busted up, it's just, you know. So you're seeing this side, and you're seeing the bottom. Like that. Now, if you say, what if, like I did this one, where is it? Like this one. I want to see the middle, 2 sides. Like that. You draw again, draw your square. Put your line in the center. Go up. Am I doing this right, Brian? No, you're not, because I wanted to go down. That's what I was trying to do. I'm trying to go down. So we're getting into 2-point perspective. Let me show you this one again. That's flat on the ground. Okay, now this is going to be your ground right here. Or unless it's flying somewhere, you know, it's going to be coming from this point here. So you're doing this one. So it's basically a diamond. That's it. So we got your center line. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do the square again. Trying to make it easy for you guys. That. From the center. Now, let's find the center of your X. Find the center. How many lines are you going to put in there? I'm rushing. Find my center. Right here. This is my center. Right there. Now, draw a line straight across your center. Like that. You have this. Now, it gets kind of crazy when you have a lot of lines. And let's get rid of this for the time being. Now, what you want to do is take, let's just say, I'm trying to get the easiest way. I'm going to do it. I'm going to redo it again. You want to take this point, this top and this bottom, and you want to take it over to this line here somewhere. So like this, from that point. So from here again, like this, and like this. From this line here, like this, and I'll show you how to do this, and then I'll erase it. So you want to go over and over to that point, over and over to that point, and then down. And I just used the existing line. It's the easier way. And then you have that box. You have one side. It's going more in perspective. So it's kind of like you're looking up at that box. Almost. So again, you have your box. And I don't want to say you would do it extra long. Just get the size that you want on the box. Get the size you want on the box. Let's use this as a center line. Since I have the center line here. And center. This could be in the center. This could be almost to the side, depending on, you know, how much of the side you want to see your box. I'm not going to do it in the center. I'm going to do it over to the side just a little bit like this. So you figure out on your line where you want your point. You don't want your point way over here because you're going to have to stretch it, and you don't want it, you know, right there. You can, but it kind of, yeah, you need some side to your building. So you kind of have to determine how far away you want that. And then again, as I say, from here to here. So we're using this line. This is your main line. Your center line is your main line. So that's where everything's going to point from and to. From here to there. From there to here. Same thing here. From here to there. From there to here. And these lines don't have to be evenly spaced apart. Let me finish this and then I'll show you. So this is what you're going to have. You're going to have that. And I know some people are like, man, I lost it. I don't know how it is in this. So it's going to go from here to here. So in this instance, you have more on this side than that side. And as I was saying, this line, let me do a quick one. This line could be right here. And this point could be way over here. So I'm going to center it again. Yeah, you can put it to the side or just kind of center that box. And again, you have two sides. So now you want to take it from the top. You want to take it here to here. Remember, this center line is the only line that we're really concerned with. And then you're going to take it from here and you're going to go way out there. And that gives you a different, well, it should have been a little further. That gives you a different look. Erase that, erase that, erase that, erase that. Brian, why does it look the same? I'm not going to comment on that because if I did it right with a ruler, it would look a little more different. This one is more sloped down than this side here. So if I had taken it out further, it would be more narrower, or if I made this, extend this more. But hopefully you can see that. I know you might be, it's slightly off, or it's just a slight difference. So you might not be able to really see the difference. But you know what I'm saying. This line could have been right here. And then this one could have been way over there. And then you would have just dealt with this here. This type of cube like that. Cube, that's what I'm trying to say, cube. You can't see that. All right. All right, let's do a 3-point perspective. You missed what I just edited out. You really missed that because I screwed up royally, because I started thinking perspective instead of drawing squares. So we're going to do a 3-point. We're going to do a square at a different angle, which just happens to be 3-point perspective. Remember, 2 points, 1, 2. So we're going to do 3 points. So what we're going to do now is this is an easy, simple way to do this a cube in a 3-point position. So we're going to use the letter Y. We're going to use the letter Y. And let's get another piece of paper, because it might get hairy. So that way I can pull it down in the middle. So let's just make a big letter Y like this. Keep it even. Keep it on the line, and then go down. That's your Y. Everybody knows how to draw a Y. You know, just bring this down a little bit more. Now, what you want to do here is you want to take this and you want to go up. Take it high as you need. I mean, don't go way up here somewhere, but because remember, you're still trying to draw this. All right, so now we're going to come from this point. Remember this step, we stopped on this line here. We stopped on this line. So I'm going to take this point down to this point. So we're going to go all the way down to this point. Come on, Brian, draw right. And then this point, do you need a ruler? I think I might. From that point to that point here. That's a little better because it's not as crooked as the other side. All right. Let's do this just for the fans. One for the fans. Okay, so you have that. It's going to be a little crooked because it's crooked. This is a crooked V. Crooked Y. So you went up like this. Now you want to go to a point here. Somewhere here, because basically you're drawing a diamond. I don't know if you guys may have a hard time drawing a diamond, just to make it even, shall we say. You're just drawing a diamond like that. And then you want to just go from to that point to that point here. Okay? Now, all right, so what we want to do here is you want to memorize this line right here, this angle of the line. So if you have your ruler and you want to drag it down, you drag it down to where your bottom, say I want my bottom to be right here. So this is just straight across like that. So you want to, at this point, you want to mimic this angle here. Now, if you go out far enough, you can come back down, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're trying to hand do this. So if you have your ruler and you can slide it down to this point right here, then you can just do that, like that. Same thing for this side. You want to try to mimic that all the way down to this point right here, and then like that. That might be a little off, but because I'm using a ruler. And then you just erase this. I just lost my eraser because I just used the last bit of that, like that. And then if you erase this top part here, what you could have is a building. And we're get into that later. We get into really doing perspective later. So as best you can, try to mimic these two lines in the same direction. Use your ruler. Now you have you can have a building, and you know, once you start doing like windows and so forth, squares, you can go all the way down. That's the part that kills me about doing perspective, because you have to measure all these things and they have to be precise and so forth and so on. And then you can have a sidewalk going this way and a street going that way, and the street could turn this way, and you could have another building like over here doing kind of like the same thing in perspective, going the same way, or the building could be taller like this. And so you can put like another level on top of the building, this building here. Yeah, so there's a lot that you can do. Once you learn how to do this stuff, you know, it opens up a whole new world, especially if you are a very, very creative person and your mind can see all these different worlds and robots and gadgets and just all kind of stuff that are made from squares and cylinders. So I'm going to end this video here because I know it's been a few, this is kind of like went long, and I know people don't want to say, oh, you know, I don't want to sit an hour drawing squares, especially if you really know how to draw squares. But this was basically for those people that were having the problem. This was for you, God's Nation, because you kept telling me, you asked me that you were having trouble. So if this is a blessing to one person, I'm happy. But I believe that there are a few people out there that probably needed this in the beginning in any way. So yeah, practice that. As I said, once you get this done, go back and go over these shapes. Make that diamond, make that diamond. You know, if you have to use your paper, line this way, X. Okay, then there's your diamond. Right there, there's your diamond. Diamond, kite, diamond, diamond, yeah. And then, like I said, here's your Y right here. Here's your Y, straight down. Mimic this line here and come down. Because you have, remember, so you have to come down to whatever point. So mimic that line and come down. So you would have came all the way down past that, but you just chopped it off right there. And then go back over it and just do it with your hand over and over and over until you get it right. So that's going to be it for this video, because I don't want to shove too much at you, because if you're having trouble seeing these things, it's going to be hard for you, period. So that's it. I'll have another part on this one, and then we're going to go to cylinders, but I don't want to spend too much time doing this because there are people that have passed this point and they want to see more kind of detail stuff. So yeah, all right, that's it for me, and I will see you guys in the next video.